Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us today. We'll start out talking about softball with head coach Greg Jones, and thank you for joining us here today. I know it's kind of a difficult time. We hoped that we would be going on for weeks here with the show, but unfortunately, season came to an end, I guess, with the news this morning, or on Monday morning, that you did not make the NCAA tournament. Let's talk us through what the process is for that. Do you have the whole team together watching the selection show? What was that like?
We didn't. We never have in all the years that we've made it, or the few that we haven't. I don't usually disseminate the information out to them and let them watch it. And tell them what time it is and how to get it on their computers and whatnot. But we never have. I let people kind of react to it their own way, and we as coaches react to it our way, and that type of thing. So I actually didn't even watch it this morning, and I had a pretty good idea once we saw the results of the conference tournaments around in our region that I knew where we would end up. And so I started to get calls from other teams looking for scouting reports on other teams that we had played, and I knew why they were calling me. So then I had the information, and I finally went online and did look and saw what the brackets were.
All right. So for those that maybe don't understand, the news came out that you were ranked number 8 in the last regional poll. And they take 8 out of the Central region, but the selection committee took 3 from the NSIC, not Winona State. So in your understanding, how does that happen that you were in that top 8 but still didn't get selected?
The winners of the conference tournament get an automatic bid. And so Missouri Western won the MIAA tournament, Southern Arkansas won the GAC tournament, and Upper Iowa won ours. Those first 2 teams were already in. They were in the top 8 to begin with. Upper Iowa was outside of it. They were outside of the top 10, in fact. Had a great weekend, deserved it. I'm proud of them, happy for them. But by winning the championship, they get an automatic bid, so they bump whoever's in that 8 spot. So by them winning instead of Mankato, if Mankato would have won, we would have had a shot to get in, staying at 8, but Upper Iowa bumped us out.
Yeah, okay, and then Minnesota Duluth was the other team from the NSIC that made it. So I guess for our fans to kind of understand what happens from here, because it's kind of an abrupt ending to the season.
It is, and I was just saying on the bus coming home the other day, and I said to Jamie earlier today in the office, it's amazing. You go 100 miles an hour in 100 different directions, and all of a sudden it's just over. You wake up the next day and you're on vacation. And, for us, it's all about now going forward. What do we need to do to get these kids ready, the returning kids? How can we improve them over the off season? What can we do recruiting-wise and things like that? So today's just another day. It's, we move forward and you kind of try to wrap up this year and meet with some of the kids and have some conversations with that, and then really start planning on the future again.
All right, let's give you a chance kind of to wrap up the season. You had 5 seniors on this team. What are you going to miss the most from your 5 seniors?
Well, I think those kids were all players, so you don't replace the numbers they put up, but they were kids that had really vital roles to our team, and so suddenly you're trying to plug some holes, I think, first and foremost. But quality kids, good people, kids that have been in this program for a long time from a leadership standpoint and understanding the system and being able to pull people with them and that type of thing. So you can't replace that. You just hope you pass the keys down to the next group and that they keep working that way. You hope that the kids that come in now, that will come in as freshmen, are able to pick up from the, where the program left off that way.
Now, we kind of talked about this last week, but Hannah Lithberg was your #1 pitcher this season. She was a senior. And then after that, you had some pretty young arms that you relied on the rest of the season. Is that one of the things that you're kind of looking forward to next season, the fact that you have a really young but still very experienced pitching staff?
Yeah, we end up still returning a lot of bodies in general that will really be key factors. But just today, looked at our numbers for the first time and really evaluated them and was really surprised in a pleasant way, how great our pitching was. We had a team ERA of 1.86, and which was, last year I look back, we had a team ERA of 2.20, and that's not bad, And again, the hard part is it feels in essence like we didn't do what we wanted to do this year because we didn't make the postseason. Well, if Upper Iowa doesn't win that conference tournament, we are in the postseason and we're going forward. And we won 35 games, we're 20 games over 500. We had ourselves in line for a postseason berth. We had a 1.86 team ERA. All of those things are very positive. And so it really was still a good season. I have to be careful not to judge too harshly just because we're not playing next weekend that it was a lost season. But going forward, I think suddenly we came into the year questioning where our pitching was. We come out of the year happy about what we can build on with our pitching going forward.
So to kind of give an insight to people that are watching the show about what you do now with the season being over, how long before you actually start going to next season, how long before you do any kind of recruiting, scouting, any of that?
I was already scouting and out recruiting last weekend on Saturday, and I've got plans and hotels and trips planned for next weekend already, and it's immediate. It never really ends, and it'll go all the way through the middle of August before we'll get back off the road. And so we'll spend our weeks really communicating with kids during the week, and then our weekends on the road. Once we get into summer, right now it's kind of almost every night because there's high school games being played, and so every night you're trying to catch something somewhere. You appreciate Wednesdays this time of year because it's church night and kids can't play. Other than that, you're kind of out every night. Sometimes it's just waving the banner. Sometimes just being there and being seen as much as what you're actually seeing. And the other part is you're trying to find that next kid, that diamond in the rough that can really help your program.
If you had to put an estimate on it, how many games do you think you see per year, not Winona State games, but games that you're scouting, and like how many nights are you out on the road?
This time of year we're out a lot more because of the high school games. Like I say, about 4 nights a week and a weekend, because we'll go to JUCO games too on weekends and things of that nature. In the summertime, it's mostly just weekends, but it's hundreds. I mean, and the miles are endless, and you're all over 4 to 5 states. This year we're going to hit Michigan harder than we have before because we've got some ins on some kids up there and some help from some people that we're networking with, and that just adds more miles and more games. But it's it's easily in the hundreds.
How much harder is it to scout like summer league types of things rather than during the high school season?
To me, it's easier in the summer because you see more. There's more kids, there's more games. You can go to a tournament and there'll be 60 teams there, and you've got 8 fields going, and so there's just more to see. That's really where recruiting happens for us, where you go to follow one kid and you see one kid play, and you find 5 more, and maybe you scratch the one kid off the list that you really went to see, but you picked up 4 or 5 more. And so to me, it's easier in the summer because of the volume than it is in the spring, where you go to see a high school game and you really maybe see 1 or 2 kids at that time.
So I suppose that's a good note to those that are watching. You never really know who's watching you
right.
when you might be scouted.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Right. Let's take a break here on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, we'll get the player perspective as Jamie Schleiss joins us right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff here on TV 25, now joined by Jamie Schleiss. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kind of continue what we were talking about with Coach Jones and kind of the finality of this season. Obviously, when you get to this part of the year, you know that you're probably playing you never really know when you're going to play your last game. But for it not to end on the field, but to kind of find out through computer, TV, whatever, that your season was over, what's the reaction like that from the players?
Obviously, it's hard. I guess we kind of realized at the end of our game that it was going to be tough, especially seeing how well Upper Iowa was playing. And we me and a couple of my teammates actually kind of kept an eye on the games and saw that they pulled through. And there's nothing we can really do about that. It's up to how they do from there on out.
So what do you do as players now that the season is kind of over? Do you still try to get together with your teammates one last time maybe?
Yeah, definitely, especially the seniors will no longer be with us next year. Definitely spend these last couple days with them and just go home and get ready for next year is all we can pretty much do from here on out. So.
All right. Well, let's go backwards a little bit and maybe to something happier, a little happier topic here, and talk about some of your high school career. Now, I saw that you were a three-sport athlete in high school. You had volleyball, basketball, and softball. When did softball take priority for you?
Definitely once basketball ended in the winter, and definitely went from end of basketball all the way until volleyball started in the fall. But I guess there really was never an off time because between basketball practice or volleyball practice, I was always once a week at least, always making it to the cages, hitting, making sure to stay on top of at least something because I knew that was my number one priority. Yeah.
Okay. One kind of funny story that I saw in a newspaper article about you was that your softball team would have paintball fights, apparently, and you got your coach pretty good on one of those. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I happen to be on the same team as him, but I don't know, kind of a jokester at times. So when he was down, I just saw him behind a board, and I could see a little part of his foot and part of his calf. And I just shot at it, and it just happened to leave a bruise or a mark for about 6 months, I think, afterwards. So, yeah, it's always a good time.
It sounds like it. All right, and I understand that maybe one of your high school teammates will be joining the Winona State softball team next year.
Yes.
Are you excited about that?
Yeah, definitely. She's pretty much, I'm an only child, so she's pretty much like a sister to me. And I've played all three sports with her. She's been on varsity all 4 years for her 4 years in high school, so I got to experience 6 seasons with her so far and summer ball and everything. And yeah, definitely someone I'm going to enjoy playing with again.
How much of an influence is it for you as a coach to have teammates, maybe say, hey, check this person out, or you probably already know about them, I would imagine.
No, you use any resource you can get, and that's how we found Jada, honestly. And Coach Tischer saw her play originally back early last summer, I think Father's Day weekend last summer, and told us about her. Well, then we looked up where she was from, and whoa, okay. And so we touched base with Jamie right away. Do you know her? And that type of thing. And then got a lot of feedback that way. But it's really big. You just use any in you can get in recruiting, and not only to get them in, but just to find them, because there's so many kids out there, and you're always trying to find the right fit. Well, we believe very strongly in our system and how we do things, and having kids that buy in. And so if you can connect with somebody that way, that you already have some buy-in with a kid like Jamie to get us Jada, that you're getting the right kids too. So you use those resources as much as you can. Okay.
Well, you seem to fit right into the Winona State system right away. He played 42 games, 47 total games that you played last year, and you won a Gold Glove in the NSIC. Talk about that kind of success early on in your freshman year.
I don't know. I don't really look at it as like awards kind of come with what you're supposed to get done. I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be out on the field. I'm supposed to back up my pitchers. And if something like that award or anything come with it, it's part of doing your job.
All right. And then this year, I believe you started every game this year for Winona State. I would imagine one of your highlights was the grand slam that you hit against Augustana. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I don't know. It's nothing different than going up against any other pitcher any other time. You go up there with the same approach, looking for a line drive somewhere, and that time it just happened to go over the fence, I guess.
Have you ever hit a grand slam before?
Not sure if grand slam, but I don't know. I don't really keep track, but I don't think so.
Well, in the season, kind of all kinds of accolades with the no-hitters and that. If Grand Slam gets hit, what's the reaction from the rest of the team when something like that happens?
Wanting to do it in such a big rivalry game was huge for us in that moment and kind of put us over the top. And we needed those wins at the time. That's what put us in position now going into this last weekend to actually make the postseason. So it was a huge hit for us. It was a huge momentum builder for us. We've been struggling a little bit offensively, and that kind of was an exclamation point that we needed at that time. Jamie's being modest. She's the best defensive third baseman in the league, and I don't think there's any question That's doing something, and her bat really came alive for us this year. Last year she didn't hit a lot for us. She played every game at third base, and we hit for her at times, and she really worked on that in the off season and became a top of the order hitter for us, and really kind of she and Reed at the top, when they got going, we really followed, and that was a huge improvement for us to be able to put her in the batting order in that type of a marquee position, and then to put up the power at the end like that was huge for us.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in on a kind of a difficult day, and I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks. And we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff. When we come back, we'll talk baseball right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk baseball. And Kyle Polk, head coach of the Warrior baseball team, joins us. And kind of a crazy week last week. A lot of weather-related delays and cancellations. I know you're supposed to play St. Mary's last Wednesday, and that got rained out. So what does that kind of do when you're getting ready for a game, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and that one you're not going to reschedule?
Yeah, that one, because it's a non-league game, we're not going to reschedule that one. The worst thing about it is we didn't practice that day either. And when we get to this time of year, midweek, because we in a regular schedule midweek games, honestly, we'd rather play the game than practice anyway. But if we can't play, then because of the weather, we didn't have practice either. So that was the only negative thing with that, really. And then losing a chance to have a game. But yeah, we're sitting all day, we're looking at the weather, watching the Weather Channel, watching the radar, doing all the stuff and trying to make a decision. And our guys are all sitting there going to class or whatever and then waiting for their email. So that can be a little bit tentative for them, a lot of things. So, but once you make the decision, then everybody can kind of relax and get ready for the next day and move on. And then what we did was able to practice Thursday to get ready for the weekend.
Does that kind of mess up your pitching rotation at all?
Yes and no. We were going to throw some guys that are regular midweek guys anyway. So they didn't get their regular scheduled start, and they lose that. But because they didn't throw Wednesday, they were available to be using the bullpen on the weekend.
So, I guess
so that was a plus. So they had to do it on Thursday. They just threw a little bit shorter bullpen than what they would normally do, so they were ready for the weekend.
Okay. You did have two games against Minnesota State, and it was kind of alumni weekend, right? You had some players come back for that?
Yeah, we've been trying to get more people involved with getting back to Winona State baseball. Up in our foundation office now, we have Jeff Bartholomew, who's a former player. He's working there, and he's really reaching out and stuff. And we had a great crowd. We've had alumni weekends before. We'd have 15, maybe 20 people, and we had probably 60 plus. Plus, it was the 5-year kind of reunion of our 2011 team that went to the World Series and finished as national runner-ups. So we had probably 20 of the 32 guys from that team were here, plus another 40 with 60 people. So it was a really good weekend. The bad thing was they were there for the first game, and then we recognized them all, and then the second game it started to rain, and they all left. But it was fun. It was great to see them all, and we all got to go downtown to a local establishment and got to hang out with them down there all night long and stuff. So it was a good time. It was fun to see a lot of those guys and get back. Some of them we hadn't seen since they left. Maybe we did some contact with them with emails and stuff like that, but to physically see them and be able to talk and catch up on what they were doing was really fun and great to see a lot of them.
Now, from what I remember from the 2011 team, I think you tied a school record for wins that year, and of course, national runner-up, so that was the best finish to a season that you had. Did you have any of those guys talk to this year's squad and kind of give them motivation?
No, well, Tony Mueller's been around a couple times anyway because he works for a company in lacrosse, and then he came one day to practice and just kind of didn't say a whole lot, but just said, what's going on and stuff. So, but no, we didn't really have that chance to do stuff with them. And it'd be great, but again, that's a whole different era and stuff like that. So just what we did talk about with our guys, like, hey, these guys are here, they're watching you, make sure you perform well, play well, show them that you can carry on a tradition and hopefully continue to play good baseball. Whether we get to the national championship game or not is not bearing, but we want to play good baseball. Represent the school, represent the alumni and the people that were here before.
And from what I had from Corey, the SAD over at Winona State, about 516 people is what he said were around for that game, so obviously a great turnout for that.
Yep, yeah, that was a good one, and I think that kind of shows good because when hopefully we're in the process of building this new baseball field, and we want to do a grandstand that'll seat 400 to 500 people, which means then they can be inside the park watching the game rather than standing on the street sides and whatever, and looking through the fence. They can be inside, so that's a number we'll probably throw out a lot with the people when we're planning this new field.
All right, and let's talk about the games then. Game one, maybe a game you want to kind of forget, a shutout as Minnesota State won that 6-0. Kind of talk about what happened during that game.
Well, honestly, I think that guy that we faced, I saw him, he didn't pitch last year. I think it was Rodney was his name. He didn't pitch against us last year. We played Mankato 5 times, and that's Taylor, I'm pretty sure he didn't throw against us, but I saw him in the regional and the conference tournament, and I thought, this guy's the best pitcher in the league, and he kind of showed it. He had our guys off balance. He's a lefty. He's got decent velocity and control. We hit some balls on him, squared up some balls, but we just couldn't get back to back to back or anything, get any runs. So that one, they beat us. They beat us 6-0, and they were better than us that game.
All right, let's talk about game two then, because you start game two, and I think it was suspended in like the 5th inning or something, and then the next day you kind of have to start all over again, right?
No, well, you pick up for you. Yeah, we have a comment, and the NCAA has a halted or suspended game rule, and our conference we've adopted that. So if you're going to be playing that same team the next day, you can do the halted game rule. Okay. If you were not playing them next day, then at that point it would just been a completed game once you're beyond the 5th inning. So we were able to get to a point, and it rained, but our field takes a lot of water, and it does very well. Our mound, which we've redone within the last 2 years, and our home plate's redone, so they lasted a lot longer than they had in the past. So we were able to get to the 5th inning, and then at that point we halted it, suspended it, come back the next day. Now we usually play a 7-inning, 9-inning doubleheader, and then a 7-inning, 9-inning. Well, because of the halted rule, the conference says now that halted game becomes 7 innings, and then the doubleheader the next day becomes 7 innings. So everything turns to 7-inning games.
Okay, I think that's where I got confused in kind of the wrap-ups, because I was trying to match both games, and it didn't quite match up to where it was.
Yeah. So if that game would have been halted in the 8th inning, then you still play the 8th and the 9th. But since it was halted prior to the 7th, you just finish it as a 7-inning game, and then finish the doubleheader in 7s.
Okay, we have about a minute left in this segment. Pretty important games coming up against Upper Iowa and Concordia St. Paul this week.
Yeah, these are ones. We're still sitting 7th place in the league, top 8 get in the conference tournament, and which is our goal. We want to get in the conference tournament. We'd like to be rated higher, but it is what it is right now. So these 2 games tomorrow at Upper Iowa are very important in the 4-game series with Concordia, which they're 5th or 6th, so they're right above us. So that's going to be a big important one. Those are at home again. Which we've had a lot of home games this year. So those are important. We look forward to having them, and hopefully we can play good baseball and secure our spot in the conference tournament.
And hopefully people will come out and
come out again and see it, because the weather looks like it's going to be good.
Yes.
It's going to be good. So, and nothing better than a good baseball game on a nice sunshine day. So.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, Taylor Field will join us right after this. Warriors Walk-Off on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Integrate your business communications services with HBC. You'll be connected to the area's leader in internet and data solutions with speeds up to 1 gigabit, not to mention the most customizable and reliable telephone network in the area. Your customers and guests will enjoy crystal clear video and audio throughout your business. HBC Professional Solutions customers receive consulting and IT support, conferencing solutions, fast reliable cloud service, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on TV 25. Time now to talk to Taylor Field, sophomore catcher at Winona State. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start by kind of continuing what we were talking about with Coach Polk and kind of rain delays, because that's happened a couple of times this season. I know we talked about that last week and away at Southwest, I think, and then here at home. From the player perspective, what is that like when the rain starts in and then you have to wait a half hour or maybe more, like in Southwest, and you have to go back to the bus or you have to hide out in the dugout? What's that like?
I mean, it gets kind of challenging just staying focused and not knowing if you're going to play or not. But I think doesn't have too big of an effect just because, I mean, you're still at the field, so you know there's a chance you can still play. So overall, it's kind of a bummer not being able to play because of the rain, but it's not too much.
For you as a catcher, do you use that time then to kind of talk to your pitcher and kind of discuss, what's been going on so far and, what the plan is if the game starts up again?
Yeah, absolutely, because it gives us a chance to reflect on what's been working, what hasn't been working, how we can attack the hitters from this point on.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the alumni coming back this weekend. What was that like for you guys to have some of the people from the past that had success to come back and kind of see what you guys are doing this year?
I think it was really cool to have the guys who obviously went to the World Series come back and support us and just talk to them and talk baseball with them and what they see, kind of what they think. So that was a cool thing just to talk to them.
How much do people still know about that year? Because as Coach said, it's 5 years on since that team was here, and what kind of legacy does that team still have?
I mean, there's still some guys that played with the younger guys that were on that team. So, I mean, some of them we still talk about that, but overall we kind of start our own.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your career at Winona State. Last year, you played in 52 games. You had 50 starts as a freshman, catcher and designated hitter, and you're pretty successful as a freshman. Talk about making that change from high school to college and how you had success early on.
Oh, well, I redshirted my initial year here, so that gave me a good chance to kind of get a feel for what it was like to travel and everything. So I think that helped a lot. And then once I was able to play last year, just kind of try to continue what I did and not overthink anything.
To kind of get your perspective on that, that's a lot of trust to put in a freshman, especially as a catcher and a designated hitter, even with that year. What did you see in him that gave you that trust?
Well, he's a good baseball player. Sometimes we'll joke with him with that. We need to be smarter at times, whatever. But his skill set is above average. With his freshman year redshirt, we were at a position where we knew we didn't have to use him. If he was going to get 10, 15 at bats, we didn't want to waste that. He traveled with us every year, so he got his feet wet that way, being on the road with us, and actually was a bullpen catcher all year, so he got to do all that stuff. And then last year, the plan was a split catching-wise, but we had struggled with outfielders, so we had to throw him in the outfield, which we knew he can play. And if you saw this last weekend, he played first base a little bit, played some second base, so we're starting to move guys around, whatever, too. But it's basically the baseball IQ, the baseball mentality, throwback kind of guy that's going to play hard all the time, no matter where you put him. And those are things that we saw. And I didn't really see him in high school. Coach Riley saw him, and Coach Wing, our former coach, is from Iowa, so he had saw him and he gave us heads up. This is a guy that I would love to have at Cornell College with me, but he can play at a higher level. So he pushed him to come and visit and see outside our place. So, and we're looking forward to him to get more playing time too, and be catcher. With our other catcher, Nate, is defensively, I think we have the two best catchers in the league defensively, head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to calling a game, handling pitchers, and throwing guys out. There's no two in the league that do what our two guys do. The good thing is he can play more positions. We haven't had Nate in that situation yet, but I know I can throw him anywhere. And if he doesn't know what he's doing, he's going to play hard and try to do what he's supposed to be doing. So.
Pretty much high praise there. What is it like to be that kind of utility player, to be able to be penciled in anywhere in the field?
I mean, I like it a lot just because I can play and get an opportunity, and being able to play every day, it's something that I love. So for me, it helps a lot knowing that wherever I can play, they have faith in me that I can get the job done too. So. Okay.
So how much power do you have as catcher to kind of call things? Is it mainly from the coaching staff as far as what pitches are going to be called, or do you have some say in that?
Well, they OB and I and Nate, we go back and forth as our pitching coach, and kind of how we want to game plan around whoever we're facing, and then he'll give us ideas, especially if he sees something in the hitter that maybe we missed, he'll give us ideas. But most of the time they leave it up to us.
Okay. Last question that I have here, which is usually a silly question. I saw something on your Twitter account that I think at the beginning of the season, someone was criticizing the Winona State baseball jerseys, the ones that have the gray numbers on it. And I thought that was just kind of funny that someone actually would see that and mention it. But you defended them. You like the jerseys.
I like them a lot. I mean, the gray's kind of dark, but I think, obviously we're up close with them all the time. I think when you can read them, they look really slick.
All right, so thank you for joining us here, and good luck for the rest of the season. And thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walkoff. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.